Let me start off by telling you a brief description about what child sex trafficking actually is. So according to wearethorn.org, sex trafficking is the recruitment, harboring, transportation, provision, or obtaining of a person for the purpose of a commercial sex act where the victim is under 18 years old. Technology plays a major role in the world of sex trafficking. The internet is one of the largest marketplaces for buying and selling children in the United States. There are over 100,000 escort ads placed on the internet every year, and those include ones that are for children. So it's easy to assume that sex trafficking, especially child sex trafficking, is a foreign issue and it doesn't happen anywhere around you. But in reality, that couldn't be farther from the truth. In 2014, the FBI in Kansas City revealed that 168 children were recently rescued, some in Missouri and others in the surrounding states. 300 pimps were arrested and put behind bars. That is a large amount of children, and that was a huge success for the FBI team. So one of the victims from the sex trafficking actually spoke to a news station and gave her side of the story. The next few statements that I'm going to read are from about when her friend convinced her to go to a house party and a much older man approached her. So this is what she says. "I came from a very good, loving home, but he still managed to get every bit of information out of me that he needed and held it over my head for the next 4 years. Then he raped me. There were house parties just like the ones that I was initially raped in, and then there were men, and I was expected to service them all night long. And my trackers always had me home before school the next day." So one of the police officers from this case actually stated that we have a huge misconception about what sex trafficking is. Usually when you think of it, you think of, a white van with no windows pulling up, grabbing a girl or a boy, and then they disappear. But just like Janine's story, that's actually what is happening more common. They will take their victim, they will do what they please with them, and then they will have them returned. So it is a lot harder to actually identify and look out for people who are being trafficked. So some experts say that some ways that we can help to look out is to look for changes in their behavior. If they disappear for a length of time, not days, weeks, or months, but a couple hours, maybe overnight, things like that. And then if they have mood swings, if they have new or developing eating disorders, if there are changes in their appearance are taking place, if their hair color changes, if they are starting to dress more mature, if they are a younger child, if they start to receive expensive gifts, like a new phone, new things that teenagers would typically want from a pimp. Unexplained injuries or bruises are kind of one of the most common. They're a lot harder to see. They can be masked under clothes, but look out for that. And then also new drug or alcohol addictions. Usually the pimps get them started on those things, and so they're reliant on them for those addictions. And so that is another way that they get the children to keep coming back. In my opinion, child sex trafficking is beyond wrong. I would love to hear someone's side of the story and opinion on why they think it would ever be beneficial for somebody. But some opinions I have about why child sex trafficking is so wrong is because it really violates human rights. The children are forced against their will to work as servants or slaves, perform sexual acts, mislead other people and cheat them. And then they're also stripped of their education, their well-being, their morals. Along with that, sexually transmitted diseases are also a huge issue. It's actually been a proven fact that people who have been sold in trafficking or are a billion times more likely to receive and then transmit a sexually transmitted disease, which HIV and AIDS is actually the most common one. Another thing is that these children are also being isolated. Not only are they being isolated if they're kept away from society, but then if they're kept for a long enough time, once they return, it's hard to adjust to everyday life. If they're still a child, it's hard, going back and hanging out with your friends and doing things that a normal child would do. If they're kept until adulthood, they don't really have any of the skills that it takes to be a successful, thriving adult. So it's just really hard to go back into society, and rehab is a really great treatment for those who live with the lifelong shame and difficulties that come. So to kind of go along with what I was saying about my own opinions as to why I think that sex trafficking is so wrong, I found a peer-reviewed article that is called Focusing on the Prevention, the Social and Economic Rights of Children Vulnerable to Sex Trafficking, and the main idea of the article is that the sexual commercial exploitation of children is an enormous human rights and public health violation, and that it occurs every day across the United States. So it really just backs up everything I said about sex trafficking really breaking down everybody's morals and who they are as a human and all of the rights that they have. And so it just really backs up all the things. Locally in Springfield, there is an organization called Rafa House, which is a safe house program for children who have been rescued from slavery and sexual exploitation in Cambodia. So a man went to Cambodia and he realized that child sex trafficking is a huge problem over there, and it's kind of part of our nature, and so he came back to America with an idea of wanting to help. So the organization raises money and they go over there and they rescue the children, and then they do different things such as transferring all of the girls and the men and the boys who were sold into slavery into their care. And then they work with those children to go through the healing process and move towards freedom. And then along with this, they also learn skills such as cooking, hospitality, cosmetology, business, and then retail. And then another one that is also in Springfield is called Stand Against Trafficking. It's an organization that raises awareness, provides education, emphasizes prevention, promotes community, and then supports the survivors. And then on the next slide that I have coming up, it gives a little bit more in detail about this organization, since they actually do a lot with Springfield specifically. So while I was doing a lot of research for this presentation, I came across a news article that stated that Missouri is actually a hotspot for sex trafficking because we have Highway 44, 70, 40, 55, and all of these are main highways which people cut through to go to other places. And I know that a lot of people who go to Missouri State use 44 and 70 to get here. So I would just like to send out kind of like a warning just to make sure that, if your car ever breaks down, stay in your car, maybe travel with somebody else, and just kind of be on the lookout for anything suspicious so that you can also look out for other people. If you see anything kind of sketchy going on the side of the road or any sketchy looking vans, just keep an eye out and everybody be safe.
I don't know who you are. I don't know what you want. If you are looking for a ransom, I can tell you I don't have money, but what I do have are a very particular set of skills. Skills I've acquired over a very long career. Skills that make me a nightmare for people like you. If you let my daughter go now, that'll be the end of it. I will not look for you. I will not pursue you. But if you don't, I will look for you. I will find you.